Hi, this week I've finished up the main parts of the planting mechanic, where the player can brush saplings onto the forest. Last week I got a very basic version of this working, and this week I've improved on that. I started by animating a pine tree growth animation, which we triggered once for each tree that is planted. Each species will have its own unique animation. This was the finished result. I added a little bit of bounce to the end of each section of the animation to make it feel less harsh. With the animation complete, I added the sprite sheet to Unity and set up the animation. When I tested that though, I discovered that all the trees in the forest were displayed as saplings, although the animation worked well. I discovered that when I was testing, an error message was popping up in the console stating invalid tree age. That turned out to not actually be the cause of the issue, which was in fact the animation I set up earlier. To fix this, I had to create an animation transition for each age of each species. That sort of worked, except the trees wouldn't start the correct age. You would see them aging up at the beginning of each game, and the planting animation was now looping endlessly. The first problem was fixed by changing some settings in the animation transitions, and the next was fixed by telling the animation not to loop. The finished result was this. The trees begin at the correct age, and the planting animation is triggered once for each tree that is planted. I'm really pleased with how the growth animation turned out. It's pretty satisfying to watch. The next step for the planting mechanic was to create a control panel for the brush tool. I added a number spinner component to the control panel, which is used for adjusting the tool's budget. That worked well, stopping the player from going below 0. I then added a second spinner, which is used for controlling the brush size. After a bit of work, I got them both working as expected. The budget will decrease with spending and is limited at the player's bank account, so they can't spend more money than they have. This means the player never spends more than they plan to each time they plant new trees. The trees flicker a little at the moment, which is a problem I plan to fix soon. The finishing touch for this was to add a way for the player to manually enter a value for the budget. I just added a text entry field which replaces the normal text when it's clicked, so the player can type in how much they want to spend. The game will then adjust what is entered if the player tries to enter a value too high or too low. I managed to fit an entire holiday into this week too, the last of the summer, I swear. I went to Cornwall in the southwest of England, went surfing and ate some fudge. It was a long drive but really great fun. When I got back, I decided to finally draw different growth stages for the maple trees. I started by creating a template for different tree ages based on the heights of the pine trees. There are only 4 heights of pine trees, so I had to estimate the height of one of the 5 stages. With the template in place, I created a basic design for the maple tree. When I added that to the game, it just looked too wide and round. The original maple tree had a nicer shape, so based on that, I went back and slimmed the tree down a little. When I put that in the game, it looked a lot better, so I decided to use that style for the rest of the variations. I drew 5 variations in total, which I exported as a sprite sheet which I could then slice in Unity. When I tested them though, I decided I didn't really like how the tallest tree looked. They just got a bit too big and wouldn't realistically be as tall as the tallest pine trees. I decided to just use the first 3 stages for maples, which look like this. They still need a few small adjustments to their shape, but they're good for now, and I like the first stage enough that I'll animate the planting animation for it soon. If you'd like to follow the game a bit more closely, feel free to join the Discord, the link is in the description. This was the final result of this week's work, with the new maple trees and tree planting all working nicely. That's all for this week. If you liked the video, do remember to smash that subscribe button and I shall see you next time. Cheers for watching.